Hey, hello to all. This is Alejandro Bratti, Shanei Born, and CJ Kusler from Believe in Yourself, Believe in Your Business, and welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Singo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download Singo TV app on the respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free. Singo TV is also available in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thank you everyone for being here with us. Today is amazing. We have two special guests, not only one, and we want to have a lot of fun. Thank you, Judy, and thank you, Michelle, for being here today. And thank you, Shanei and CJ. We have like half of the world here with all the countries that we have. So this is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
So, Shanei, just let's start first maybe with what we are doing. You know that we are doing workshops the next weeks. Tomorrow we have a workshop on mindset. It's going to be something that we are talking today a lot about mindset. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So CJ, Alejandro, and I are hosting a workshop every Thursday at 11 a.m. EST. And we're going to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship and your mindset and how to reach that next level. If I can give you an example, I heard from one of our clients today that we have generated over 800 leads for them. They have sold 90% of those leads they sell every month, and it is just blowing up. And if you don't have the belief in order to navigate a business like that has the demand, and also you need the right guidance to steer that business, you can easily fall into a trap of overwhelm. You won't be able to see what to do next. And if you want to work on your mindset, especially as an entrepreneur, you need to be in that workshop of ours, and you can ask us all the questions that you want to ask us. You can go to the workshop and register online now on businessbelieve.com. So we'll hope to see you there tomorrow.
Awesome. And CJ, do you have any comment on that and on the thing that we are doing now, helping business owners?
Be there or be square.
Yeah.
Awesome. And today, once again, it's going to be everything about mindset. Just to let you know, I am very happy that we have Michelle because she has been working very hard creating a summit about mindset, how mindset can help you to improve in your life, in your family, in your business, in everything that you are doing. So we are talking about here how to go deep and master the area of mindset and how you start to understand how that is really stopping you to become the best version of yourself and how you can start to tweak everything that you are doing. So Michelle, thank you for being here with us today. I am going to be interviewing you now. You were interviewing us first for that summit, and this is great that we're going to be having you here today. And Judy, I know that you are part of that summit also. So that is going to be great to have some of the insights that you are sharing during the summit. That will be amazing.
Thank you.
So, Michelle, let's start with your life. From where are you coming? What is a little bit about your belief and the mindset that you have before you started to believe in yourself? Part of your story and how you moved to start to believe in yourself.
Okay, so my story begins in Glasgow. I grew up in quite a violent background, actually, a violent area. So it's, I had to have a mindset of survival every single day, to be perfectly honest with you. So coming through that, being hyper alert all the time, having to stand up for yourself, having to really take care of yourself builds a lot of resiliency, right? So thankfully, that does actually help a lot of the person that I've become today, because it really helps me stay focused and stay on my attack process, I call it. Because I'm so used to being attacked in my background. So around, and I use that as a positive, and everything that's happened in the negative, and I'll use that to fuel what I want to do in the world, which is I'm on an absolute mission at the moment to help people with their mindset. So, and that really starts with yourself and the questions that you ask yourself and the language that you use with yourself, the language that you use with other people, tuning into your inner voice. There's so much that we can do just by listening to ourselves, right? When we really, really listen. So yeah, that's where you start, really.
Okay, but let's go with your story, like a little bit deeper inside of where are you coming from before you really started to believe. It can be even when you were a teenager or when you were a kid, like a moment that you can share with us that, like, okay, I was this person that I was thinking that I can do this, or I was thinking about anything that was happening to you, and suddenly how you started to move from that point to started to believe in yourself.
Okay, I can say that there's always been a moment of me that is quite bold and believed. My mother was really great. My mum actually died when I was about to turn 19, and my mum always drilled it into me: do anything you put your mind to. And oh my gosh, as I've trained and gone into neuroscience and trained in my certifications, that is so true. You can do anything you put your mind to. The problem that I always had was because of the place that I came from, no one really believed in doing big things in the world, having big dreams, going out, traveling the world, becoming a coach or becoming, a leader of any kind of thing. People would go and get a job, the local warehouse, the local store, or whatever. It was just that was basically what was destined for us, as they would say. So I think the thing that I had to battle against was the constant put down. You can't do that. You forget where you come from. That's not possible for anybody that comes from here. You can't job and stop these crazy dreams, stop this nonsense, right? And I gotta tell you, when your own family and everyone you've grown up with, everyone you know in your existence is against everything that you dream of, that you want to do, and telling you can't, you have two choices. You either give up and go live the life that they're all telling you that you should just go live, or you get really, really clear standards and your boundaries, and you get very, very clear about where you're going with your life. So it was a battle, and for a long, long time, I went back and forth between this inner knowing there was something bigger for me, to doubting and almost believing the other voices that were around me, right? So it was a battle for a very, very long time, right, for me to actually truly believe in myself. And then when I did, I just kind of said, you know what, world, I don't really care if you like me, you don't like me, you like my dreams, you don't like my dreams. So long for me to step into myself that I'm just going to be all of me, and you can either take it or leave it. And that's one of the things I do with my clients. I teach them to really, truly, fully step into themselves. It's an amazing process, actually.
I love that, Michelle. Quick question in regards of that. What was the people that was stopping you and like holding you back, that you can share with us? Like, it was family, it was close friends. Who were the people that was like stopping you to start to?
I can literally say absolutely everyone around me had an
And
opinion.
what happened when you started to change? What happened when you started to change with those people? Like,
Well,
they
that
continue
was
pushing
very
you back?
interesting. I got a lot of people out of my life. I have to just be very transparent about that. That's not for everyone, but it was a decision I made. I don't speak to quite a lot of my family, actually. So again, that's a choice that we need to make for ourselves. Are we going to live happy, enjoy, in peace? or are we going to live in battle with other people's, limited beliefs? What really changed things for me was when I actually started to see the results of that resilience and that keeping moving forward. It was everyone, family, apart from my mum, my dad. Oh, the comments my dad would make. You forget where you come from. You think you're better than what you are. You think you're great. So when things started to turn around and I started to get recognition and people started to see my business grow, I was getting magazine interviews and radio interviews and Sky TV back in the UK, right when I lived back there. Suddenly, these people that had been telling me all this time, you can't do that, you can't have those big dreams, were like, oh, I saw you on TV. I had all my friends round. We watched it on the big screen and we had a few drinks and we celebrated and you doing what you said that you were always going to do. And, and I have to say, I'm going to be very blunt here, people. I actually said to these people, that's great. I'm glad you enjoyed the interview. I don't need your praise. I don't need you to be proud of me. A long ago, I needed that, right? But long since did I need any outside validation, right? And that's another thing we really need to get used to. Our own validation, no one else's, And that was another big turning point for me. It was like, oh, okay, you're all now celebrating me. Now you see the fruits of the labor. But you were never behind me on the way up the mountain, right?
Right.
Wow. How did you manage that, Michelle? Like, obviously, this was definitely an internal battle, and you had to believe and have faith in yourself past anything. That was like the highest priority on your list, right? So how did you do that?
I'm not going to lie, a lot of pain, a lot of pain, a lot of anger. I had a lot of anger for a long time, towards those people that didn't support my crazy dreams, right? And then you get to the point where you realize, who are you holding on to anger and the pain for? No one else. You're only hurting yourself, right? Everyone else is living their lives. But I came through it mostly because I was a single mum with 3 sons. So I would raise 3 sons as a single mum, coming through all of these, and family members would even tell my sons, oh, your mum's crazy. Your mum should stop doing all these things. Your mum should just settle and get a job and just be happy. So that was also a battle because they were influencing my sons. Sometimes my sons would say, Mom, everybody thinks this is crazy. Mom, can't you just get a normal job? Can't you just be normal? And of course, the same thing said for my sons now. They're really, really proud of what I've done and the fact that I've kept going. But I wanted to teach them that. I wanted to teach them the same thing, right? That they have to go after their dreams no matter what anybody tells them. So that was a big driving force. But how did I come through it? A lot of cutting out and a lot of boundaries and a lot of just knowing that my happiness and my purpose was more important than any of that.
Wow. You are strong, man. when you
strong for my own good sometimes, but yeah.
No. Remember, you stand tall, and I mean, this is what you say just now. That's a huge achievement. When you spoke about family that told you, you have to can't just be normal and get a job. I was also told that, and I know. When I was little, God gave me, He spoke to me and He told me, Shanei, that you are going to have your own business and you're going to be a designer. And I walked in faith. I started my business upon His command. And a couple months after that, I started getting those comments. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not even going to listen to you. And luckily, those comments dried up quickly. But I didn't have it as bad as you. And kudos for sticking with it. I must say, as a fellow female, I am super proud of you. That this is amazing, and I think it is such an inspiration for men and for women to really stick with their purpose and follow their dreams and make it happen. Because there are so many negative things in the world that come and steal from you. They steal your confidence, they steal your worth, they steal real estate in your mind. And sometimes we're weak, sometimes we believe it, sometimes we have an off day and then it becomes an off week or an off month. And it's hard to pick yourself up, especially as an entrepreneur. And if we're not there to support one another, then doing these things is hard. And I just want to say congratulations. It is what you've achieved with all of the backlash that you've gotten from your direct family, your extended family, and even your sons. I mean, wow, well done.
Thank you.
And I would love to add something, Michelle. Today I was having a conversation with another person, also in the mindset point of view, and one thing that I want to comment here exactly is sometimes you are like, okay, I have this dream and I want to reach it and I want to work with that, and that means that you need to start to connect with yourself and start to understand who you are, and when you connect with yourself and start to understand who you are, suddenly what you are saying starts to happen. Oh, this is who I am. I want to be this entrepreneur. I want to do all this stuff. And what happens is people start to like, no, you don't have to be doing that. I prefer the other Michelle that was before. I want to have with the other one. I marry with the other one. I have my mother was the other one. So what stepping up and saying like, no, this is myself. This is exactly who I am, and this is exactly who I want to be, and suddenly that everything starts to change. So I agree. I love that part, and that is something that I want to say also to the audience here today. It's like when you are starting to understand yourself, suddenly your people around you is going to start to like pull you back. Like, no, I prefer the other one. But
Like the crabs in the buckets.
exactly.
Yeah.
So let's enter with you, Judy, because I know that you have, it's not exactly the same story, but similar with all the things that you are doing. So tell us a little bit more about your story.
Well, it was interesting to listen to Michelle's story because I've known Michelle, but I haven't heard the whole story. And as she was telling her story, there were so many similarities to my story, except that I'm a lot older and come from an era in time when women were just actually, I'm going to say, breaking loose, getting a secondary education, going to college, becoming their own business owners. And so my story is I came from a very, very structured family. We all went to structured schools where you were taught what to think. And there wasn't a lot of opportunity to develop your own personal person, if you understand what I mean. You were molded. And part of that was really good. But part of that did not make you totally independent and your own person. And because my father was a veteran of World War II, was lucky to survive. He was very adamant that my sister and I have two brothers also, that we both get a college education so that we could take care of ourselves if and anything should happen to our spouse. So I had conflicting messages from my father and my mother as I began to move through life. And it was during a time when, yes, I was married, I had children, but the thought started running through my head as I became more proficient and accepted in the work world where I was working and exposed to people who were much further down their journey. Because we all go through, this is all a journey in terms of getting to be who we are. We're not born this way. We're molded, and then we unmold, and then we discover who we really are. And as I got more exposed to people who are further down their path, it stimulated me to think, okay, what path am I really on? Who am I really? And fortunately, because I had come from such a structured family environment, I had been taught to be comfortable with quiet. To just not need to have the TV, the music, whatever on all the time, be comfortable with quiet. And when it's quiet, I could actually hear messages being sent to me. And at first you think, oh my gosh, I got these voices running in my head. What's wrong with me? And then after a while, you start to pay attention because you're starting to see things that you heard show up in your life. And that's when you start to pay attention and say, I've got to really figure this out, who I really am and what I really want for me as a person. And so, I had this career going, and finally I had decided I'm building everybody else's organizations. I must have some skills because these organizations are growing. So why don't I just start a business and build my own organization? Now that was a totally foreign concept to my family. And Alejandro, you know this because I've explained this to you before, that my whole family, there wasn't anybody that I knew that was a business owner. Everybody I knew was employed by some company. And so the mission in life, as my dad had told us when we were in high school, is I want you to get an education so you can take care of yourself, was to be educated enough so that you can get a job. His whole vision for us was get a job so I could always be able to take care of myself. I don't think it ever really crossed his mind that I would be educated enough to start a business and take care of myself. I don't think that was in the cards. And so when I took the leap and decided, okay, I'm going to do this, I distinctly remember my mother saying to me, why don't you just go get a job? And like I've told Alejandro, those words, you don't realize the significance of words that people will say to you until lots longer down your journey. Those words still stick in my head. And this is all part of the mindset piece, is that, okay, now I've been in business 30 years and my business is the Center for Strategic Change. And so if anybody should be experiencing strategic change, it should be me, right? That's what I figured. So as you build a business, it's not just one nice continuum that just continually goes up, 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 up until you've reached success. It's the roller coaster. You've got your ups, and then you hit a low spot and you got your ups. Assuming you got your mindset in place, you go back up. And it was those words of, why don't you just go get a job? That after so many times that I heard it when the roller coaster started to dip, I thought, I got to do something about those words and not let those words control where I decide to go. Because where you decide to go after a little dip, and we all experience them, that's just normal part of business. Changes happen and you've got to be able to adjust. Yeah. But you don't adjust by going to get a job. You adjust by figuring out what's the change I need to make. And the quicker that I discovered, the quicker my mindset was able to adopt that thought instead of, oh, maybe I should just go get a job, the quicker I went back up. And that was the lesson that really taught me. The whole success going down the journey of my business and of my personal life is based upon what mindset I embrace and what thoughts I let run through my head. And so Alejandro knows that I have a little stone.
That was what I was going to ask you now.
I keep a little stone by my desk. Thoughts become things. Because no matter how often I've overcome something else comes along. And I just need that little nudge to remind me, oh, wait a minute, I can get through this. Thoughts become things. So think through this in a manner that will move me through it, not that holds me up or makes me stay in a rut. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. And it's your thinking that keeps you putting that one foot in front of the other. So that's that to me is, I'm going to say probably the gift my dad gave me, is be able to take care of yourself. And it was the lesson that I learned through being able to take care of myself that really showed me the power of a mindset.
And also something that it's important to, with what you are saying is those thoughts, if you are having bad thoughts about your business or about becoming the entrepreneur, or because you are in the roller coaster in the valley right now, and those thoughts can become once again things, and they can stop you growing and can stop you like continue becoming that entrepreneur that you are supposed to be.
Right. I mean, those thoughts can either be can hold you back or those thoughts can give you that impetus to move forward. And it has been demonstrated to me over and over and over that whatever I think is what shows up in my life. And it's like I've learned the hard way to believe that. And it's like, I'm a believer now, is what you think shows up in your life.
So CJ, I will love you too.
Yeah. Actually, Judy, I do have a question for you. Talk about the low valleys, and in entrepreneurship. This is why I'm laughing so much while you're talking. Is the ups and downs, the roller coaster. I recently wrote a song with the roller coaster ride as part of the.
Really?
Story. And I'm wondering if you could unpack perhaps one of the darkest times, one of the lowest times when, both yourself and Michelle, you've spoken of this, when people didn't believe in you or people who were surrounding you weren't supportive. Could you unpack maybe one of the darkest times? Because I think every entrepreneur goes through this, and it's like, I'd almost want to call it the valley of despair. And it's darker times. I mean, some entrepreneurs that go through bankruptcy, they lose the support of family and friends, but they lose their home or this or that. They lose their vehicle. There's different things that can happen. But everyone goes through that valley of despair. I believe any true entrepreneur has faced this level where they have to have grit, and there is a real temptation. Oh, okay, well, this job makes sense, and then there's these parameters around it that there's these restrictions. So is there a time that really stands out to you that this was like a real dark time when it was like a real fork in the road?
Well, okay, Michelle, I'll go because I can remember distinctly how I reacted to the valley. I'm trying to just really remember what the situation was. But in my business, I do a lot of work with boards of directors, CEOs, senior leadership teams, and it's on a project by project basis. It's not long term. So I am always out putting new projects in the pipeline, nurturing those while I'm working a project, or typically I'll have 4 or 5 projects going on with clients at the same time at different stages. And I'm trying to remember the real trigger, but it had to be something related to where a project that was coming in didn't come in, and it left this big gap. And I knew this big gap was going to be a big gap in my financial status at that moment in time. And I knew there were bills coming due. And I can remember that I must have been just at the end of my rope. And this is really embarrassing to say, but my desk sits in a corner. Like you can see, my desk sits in a corner right now, and there's an empty space underneath. I actually crawled under my desk and thought maybe if I just totally get out of sight, and I was in tears, the whole thing, it was such a valley again, because you go through that when you're starting, you hit those valleys. But this was further down the line, and I hadn't been expecting this valley, and it just kind of really smacked me. And I still remember sitting under the desk that I'm at right now with, my arms around my legs, my head down on my knees, just sobbing like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this again? Because you get through it once and you think, okay, that's it. I'm not going to face this again. But there are things that come along that do come along again. And in hindsight, the lesson I now know I was to learn is that, and these are words that I've picked up from along the way somewhere, is that the sign of a good CEO is how quickly they take action to move forward when they hit that lowest point. I mean, you can sit in that lowest point and wallow in it for a bit, but you can't stay there. You've got to take action to move out of it. And it was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, that must be the lesson I was supposed to learn. And assuming it was, that message has stuck with me because I still hear those words. The sign of a good CEO is how fast they take action when they've hit the low spot.
Thank you, Judy.
It's a little heart-wrenching again.
Oh, that is amazing, Judy. Thank you.
It's perfect.
And Michelle?
You know, I'm trying to think of one particular one here, CJ. I think that the one that I would say is actually when I went into a business venture with then a friend of mine, or so I thought, and I paid. It was my funds that actually funded all of the business venture, and you know, we took a trip to Las Vegas and we went to this big conference, and you know, we were putting all these things in place, and meanwhile I was footing the bill for everything. And then on top of that, I was also looking at her money as well. And this is in my book, so you guys can, you know, you can go read it. But it's you know, loaning her personal money as well at the same time. And then basically we got from Las Vegas after having this big conference and meeting all these connections, and we were going to be offering these products that, you know, we were bringing over from the States to the UK. And she suddenly just disappeared out of my life, like literally couldn't get on the phone, couldn't speak to her, couldn't get an answer email, blocked me from Facebook, took me, like literally put me in the trash can, like literally was like, no use for you anymore, bye-bye. And this particular person I have been friends with for 10 years, guys. You know, this wasn't just some friendship, you know, for 5 minutes kind of thing. And I have to say, I feel myself getting emotional. I don't talk about this story normally, actually. I feel you, Judy. It wrenches it all, doesn't it? And I have to say, it absolutely devastated me. Absolutely devastated me on so many levels. This was the godmother to my, this was my best friend, this was my confidant, this was someone that I had spent time with her family, she had spent time with my family, we'd gone on holidays, you know, the whole way, friendship. She was like probably the most important friend ever. And I have to say, and kudos to you, Judy, like for I'm gonna say honestly, it probably took me about a year to actually recover from that. And in the end, I sued. I got the money back, but the money's not
Right.
the money is actually irrelevant in the story. It's that betrayal. When someone betrays you to that level of pain, I stopped going out of the house. I stopped having friendships. I stopped like really communicating. I would take my daughter. I have now a 10-year-old daughter as well as older sons. In case you guys are like she spoke about 3 sons before nothing about a daughter. And I would take her to school and drop her at school and come straight back home, just be working on my business and working with my clients. And I would pick her up from school and I would just go straight back home. The weekend she spent with her dad, I would stay in the house. I would not leave the house from a Friday till a Monday morning. And it took me that long to really get myself out of it, the pain and the hurt that I felt over it. And I still feel it even now, although I've healed it a lot. But then I made a decision. That I couldn't sit and wallow in it any longer, like you say. And not that I was exactly wallowing in it, but the pain was still there. And I took drastic action. The attack process. I packed up my whole entire house, sold my furniture, gave stuff to charity, gave painting and artwork to friends, basically got rid of everything that I owned and left the UK with 4 suitcases, my daughter 2 and me 2. And we left and travelled to New York and then travelled to Canada and then moved. I have never gone back to the UK since leaving that day. So that was my way of getting out of the valley. But that was much bigger journey for me. Right? It was a journey that I knew that I had to take as well as from that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was probably the biggest valley that I could tell you about. There was quite a lot of dark nights of the soul. That's for sure.
Wow.
You know, the thing that I think is important for your listeners and viewers to realize is that we all go through valleys. And like I said earlier, it's part of the journey of just life, quite frankly.
Sorry, guys.
And then you add being a business owner on top of that, and you're going to have valleys. It's a matter of how do you get yourself out of the valley, and how do you overcome and grow from what you hopefully learned along moving through that valley. And everybody goes through them differently.
And who do you have around you that is helping you to get out? Because that is when really the people that you have around is going to help you a lot. If you are around people that doesn't believe in you and you are only around those people, that is going to bring you more like down.
Right.
But if you start to have even one person, 2 people that it's around, that it's really helpful, that it's maybe helping you to think differently, suddenly things are going to start to change.
That's right. I mean, Michelle mentioned that she actually walked away from some people that weren't helpful for her. I was very careful as to who I spent time with. If they weren't supportive, I just didn't spend time with them. Yeah. And then I dove into books, books that people had recommended that would help me learn more about my mindset and how to use it to my own advantage and my own growth and stability.
And we have Marcelo asking how long these valleys lasted for each one of you. How was the day-to-day life?
How long? Well, I sat under my desk literally for probably a good 2 hours. So there was one. I did have to finally come out from under the desk, but that dip where, oh my goodness, how am I going to now pay the bills? And I can distinctly remember there's got to be something wrong with me that I'm sitting under my desk. First of all, why, what don't I yet have in place? Because sitting under a desk doesn't seem like a good solution to much of anything. So I would say my valley, there's different stages in that valley. The first stage is, oh my gosh, that kind of the smack in the gut, like now what? And then there's the thinking stage about, I can't stay under this desk forever, so I'm going to have to spend some time figuring things out. Yeah. And that was a matter of looking at, okay, now this chunk of money's not coming in. How am I going to pay the bills? What do I have available that I'm going to have to, pull out of savings, if there is anything in savings, to pay the bills? And how do I keep moving things along? And how do I keep my my spirits and my confidence up for the project that I have with a client, where I have to go stand in front of a client that's already is paying a bill. There's this, the punch in the gut where your confidence gets shaken, but yet you got to put on the confidence image in front of whoever you might still be serving. So that's walking like two sides of the road. I would say overall, it probably was a good 6 months, 6 to 8 months. There still is a little, I have to tell you, there still is this little, I don't want to say it's a fear. It's more of an awareness now that, oh, gee, something that I planned coming in on the pipeline may not come in, and I'm going to have to figure something else out. So I'd like to say it forever goes away, but it doesn't go away in that totally. You're just wiser, hopefully.
And you don't take the 6 months, maybe the next time you already know how to take it out and be out of that, and what are the people that you need to reach, who you need to talk to start to understand what are the struggles that you're going through.
Right. I mean, you once you come up with your action plan and you work yourself out, you now have that experience to draw on. And it's like, okay, I don't want to go through that again, but I do know that I got through it once and I could get through it again. But I don't want to have to go through it.
No.
Well, Michelle, you were saying that it was like a year for you, right? Oh, we don't hear you well.
Michelle, is your microphone on?
No, we don't hear you.
No.
So while we're waiting for Michelle, I was having a conversation last night. I'm wondering about this as well. You know, there's so many people in our lives that, you know, will be well-meaning and say, okay, how long are you going to give yourself to ride out this storm? Is it going to be 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it 12 months? I mean, most people I talk to in business, they say most businesses fail by 4 years, if not well before then, maybe a year or two in. And then the real strong ones, it's 6, 7 years before there's a real kind of steady, and there's less likelihood of these gaps that you're mentioning, Judy, that, you know, it becomes an awareness rather than a fear. So one thing I was discussing last night is, how long do you allow yourself to go through the gap? And the other thing is, how long do you allow yourself to sit in pain or unforgiveness or the struggle? Because I think there's a time that should be allowed to feel and to mourn and to say, I lost this client or I lost this deal and it really sucks. And it's okay to feel bad. Like, we're not robots, you know? So when a client doesn't pay or doesn't come through or runs away, or a friend betrays you in business, someone you trusted really knifes you in the back in business, what do you do with those things? How long do you allow yourself before, you know, moving on? And how long do you allow yourself before saying, okay, this is the time I've given myself?
I don't know. Michelle, is your microphone working? Are you able to respond? Because I'll CJ.
A year going through the entire process. Yeah, I would say probably to actually come out of the valley itself was probably, yeah, my microphone's on. You guys
Okay.
Can hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes.
No.
But
What is going on?
CJ, I was going to say
it's definitely on, guys.
Okay, now we can hear you. So CJ, I was going to say, I agree with you that it's important for us to feel that if we don't feel, well, I'm going to say if we just disregard our emotions, that's going to impact how we interact with our clients. And we're human beings, and we need to be able to allow ourselves to feel. And I don't know exactly how long it takes, quite frankly, but I let myself feel it. And if I want to wallow, I wallow.
Mhm.
And partly because I suspect probably because I've been in business 30 years, I now know that at some point there's going to be this little message that runs through my head like, all right, Judy, that's enough. Give yourself a kick in the butt and let's get going. But you have to respect your body's reaction to these things, because this is the part of mindset. If you don't respect the reaction that your body is having, you are just setting yourself up for more of what you just got. And you're telling your body, I don't respect you, and that will eventually lead to certain health issues or other emotional issues. So you've got to allow yourself to feel what you feel, but then find a way to address it. You know, for me, sometimes when I start to get a reaction to something and I know I'm going to have to take some action, I just get out of my office, go for a walk.
You have a delay, Michelle, of
Can you
very
guys hear
like
me?
a couple of minutes.
You were saying, Judy?
Well, if you, I mean, just offer a tip
Is it on?
to your listeners that
Okay,
if
perfect.
they find themselves having some kind of a reaction.
What I was saying is, I think that our
Okay, I'm gonna just as Michelle pops in and out, I'll just let her say whatever. But if you find yourself having that kind of an emotional reaction to whatever comes along, I have found it just helps me get up from my computer, get out of my office, go take a walk, play with the dogs, do something totally outside of my office to get some perspective back and to give my body a chance to decompress. Because if I keep sitting here, I just continue to, how can I explain this? I continue to let my mind go in circles around it. Oh, I should have said this, or I should have done that. And oh, what about this and what about that? That I have to, I just know me. I have to totally distract myself from all of that. And then when I find myself in those types of situations where my mind runs, it's a sign to me that, okay, I need some time to meditate, to get control of my mind again, and either start doing it again regularly every day or build some kind of schedule into my actual calendar, because our minds are so incredibly powerful and they are so busy.
Yeah.
I mean, they're busier than we are busy because they're going all the time. But I've learned over the years, and I've worked on several different programs that have helped me to be able to just calm my mind, which lets my body and my systems calm themselves down. And then I can think clearly and take better action. Because, you know, when you react, when you're in the angst of the moment, you may not get the best result.
And Judy, how do you do that? How do you like reboot your mind so that your whole body can, you know, switch off and just not allow all of the traffic to dictate your body, your whole life? Because I mean, that's really overwhelming.
It's very hard to do because we're just so trained and our minds are so tuned in to be thinking all the time and guiding us. But there was a time in my life where I just had trouble going to sleep at night because I'd be thinking about all these things that I still had to do or that were on the to-do list, or, you know, that I want to do this or that or whatever. And it was like, I got to get past this. I've got to be able to just close my eyes and go to sleep. And I just started looking into different programs. And one of the programs that I came upon was the Silva mind control system, and still use that to this day. And there, there's all kinds of programs out there that people can research and check in and see if they work for them, because what works for me may not work for someone else. But there are programs that teach you how to decompress. Part of it is deep breathing, and there's different techniques for that. So I would just urge your listeners to look around out on the internet, and Michelle probably has some good tips on that. I don't know if she's able to tune back in now or not. Nope, guess not.
Yeah.
So, the other thing.
The Silva method is absolutely. Still not hearing me?
Yeah.
I don't know. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I don't know what's happening.
Sure, there's a massive delay, but Judy, thank you so much for your wisdom, and we'll definitely look into that. And I just want to encourage everyone that if you absolutely loved the session this evening, then you should definitely join us tomorrow at 11 a.m. EST. You can sign up at businessbelieve.com, and we'll be happy to help you with mindset tips and tricks. And Alejandro will tell us a little bit more about that, and you can just connect with us online or offline.
Yes, and also I know that Michelle, you can talk right now, but we are going to share. There is a summit that is coming very soon. So connect with us tomorrow. Tomorrow is for free. That is going to help you to understand more about mindset. And we are going to be telling you also what is all the thing that Michelle is going to be. I am part of that, of her team that is presenting in that event, that it's going to be amazing, really. And you saw here, we were talking about mindset all the time, how that mindset, if you are in a low valley, that is going to affect you deeply in everything that you are doing. And if you take 6 months or 1 year on that valley, at the end, it's affecting deeply your business. So the people that you have around you is going to make the big difference. If you're going to take 1 day, 1 year, one decade, I don't know, whatever it could take for you, or maybe you don't get out of that. So really, it's key what you have. We have Marcelo saying here, this is the best thing I have ever listened in an stream. Thank you, Marcelo. I I agree, Judy. You were so open. Michelle, you were so open here, talking about even the things that you were going, like all the struggles. And really, this is exactly the heart behind what we are doing with this program, what we are doing with the summit that Michelle is going to have very soon. You are going to listen to, I believe that it's 35 people in the mindset point of view. So it's how that changes, how that is going to affect everybody that is around. Judy is part of that team also. She's talking a lot about the things in the mindset, how in business, how that is going to affect you. So thank you, Judy and Michelle. Today was amazing. If you have any comment, any question, you can reach to us directly. You need to connect to businessbelieve.com and be tomorrow in our call, and we can give you more details about the summit coming very soon. It's next week, I believe, end of next week. So it's between April 7th and April 9th. So thank you very much, Michelle, for being here and for being that open. Thank you, Judy, also.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
Pleasure.
Thoughts become things. So.
That's right. Thoughts become things.
So thank you, CJ and Shanei. Also, it's always a pleasure to be hosting this with you.
Absolutely.
To end, everybody, this show can be also heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish Words, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, leave it. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, and see you next week.